Israeli forces have rolled into Gaza City. There are fears of a humanitarian crisis becoming rapidly worse, and a UN report says Israel is committing the crime of genocide against Palestinians. Now, often, even inevitably, as a long-running conflict or a humanitarian emergency wears on, the sense of horror in the wider world gives way to a kind of weariness. Today's real-time news cycle never stops spinning, and the harsh truth is that news audiences tend to have a brief attention span. Even so, it is impossible to look away from the daily horrors of Gaza. President Trump's been speaking about the incursion before heading here to the UK.
Well, I have to see. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I can tell you that if they put the hostages in front of them, Hamas as protection, as what they call them bodyguards, Hamas is going to have hell to pay.
Well, the incursion comes after a UN Commission of Inquiry found Israel had committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Israel's foreign ministry rejects those findings, says the inquiry is distorted and false. I can talk first to Anshel Pfeffer, the Israeli writer and journalist. Welcome back to the programme, Anshel.
Good evening.
It's good to have you here. Can I just ask you, first of all, in as far as it's possible, to generalise about this, give me a sense of the state of public opinion in Israel now as this new offensive spreads into Gaza City, and of course in the light of the UN report accusing Israel of genocide. Can you sum that up for me? Is it possible?
Well, as far as support for the operation here in Israel, I think this is an unprecedented military operation in which an overwhelming majority of Israelis think this is the wrong thing to do. We're seeing in poll after poll now for weeks and months, over 70% of Israelis saying that the government shouldn't continue the war in Gaza. It should try and reach a ceasefire, which would release the Israeli hostages there and end the war. And that's the view of the generals as well. We know that the chief of staff of the Israeli army has repeatedly in cabinet argued against this operation, tried to urge the prime minister and the members of cabinet not to send back his troops into Gaza. He said that there is little of military value in this operation. It'll take months, probably years, to achieve any kind of decisive victory over the remaining Hamas guerrilla fighters in Gaza, and yet the government has launched this operation. So, I mean, really, this is an unprecedented state of affairs in which the government seems to be going against the will of the huge majority of Israelis.
Right, so Angel, it clearly sounds then like an overwhelming body of opinion against the operation and the war as it is now. How then is it being justified by the politicians, by political leaders, in the face of that public opposition, military doubts about the value of the operation? What are they saying?
Well, Netanyahu's coalition represents is increasingly small, but still a strong base of the far right and of religious fundamentalists who don't make any attempt to hide the fact that they want to occupy Gaza in perpetuity and to settle there and to carry out what they call voluntary migration of the 2 million people currently living in Gaza. Now, as I said, they're a minority of Israelis, but they're the minority propping up Netanyahu's coalition. Now, they say that this operation is necessary because Hamas has refused Israel's terms of capitulation, and therefore Israel has to go in yet again into Gaza City and carry out what they call a decisive operation against Hamas. And those are the slogans that we've been hearing here for today, but also for weeks and months throughout this war.
Right, Angel Pfeffer, stay with us if you can. Be really grateful if you could just stay a little longer, because I can now talk live to Alex Gandler from the Israeli Embassy here in the UK. Welcome to you.
Hi, hello, John. Shalom.
Hi, and welcome to you. You were listening there to Anshel Pfeffer, who, as you know, is a highly respected commentator who's telling us the public of Israel are overwhelmingly against this operation. The military leadership are against what's going on military grounds. How can it be continuing? What could be the justification for this? What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, it's a good question, first of all, to ask me. Why are we going into Gaza City? We have two goals. They're very clear to us, and they've been quite clear for the entirety of this time. One is the release of the 48 hostages still held in Hamas cellars and underground bunkers and tunnels. And the second one is the complete eradication of Hamas from Gaza for Israeli good, but also for the good of Palestinians living in Gaza.
Okay, but that military aim seems to be being disputed by the military command. And as for freeing the hostages, well, I've seen so much footage of hostage families saying this is the wrong thing to do. This is putting hostages in greater, not lesser danger.
Well, the Israeli society is quite pluralistic, as you've mentioned, as Anshel mentioned as well. The democratically elected government of Israel has decided on this move in order to pressure Hamas both militarily and in order to eradicate it as well, to reach these two goals. At the end of the day, we're fighting this war, and it is a war. It's not a limited operation, as you might see for the past 23 months that we've been conducting it. In order to achieve those goals, this is how you achieve those goals. This is how this was decided in the Israeli cabinet to achieve those goals, and this is the way Israel should lead. Hence, the military will conduct this war that way.
Anshel Pfeiffer, a journalist, writer, listening to that from Israel. Anshel, thank you for staying with us. Just what are your reflections on what you heard there?
Well, I think that Mr. Gandler is a civil servant, so his job is to represent the whatever government of the day and their positions, and it's certainly not easy currently to represent the Israeli government's positions because, first of all, those positions aren't entirely clear. You've got ministers in Netanyahu's cabinet saying all kinds of things. Now, you would expect if they were talking out of line for the prime minister to discipline them, but Netanyahu is actually a very weak prime minister and isn't disciplining his ministers. At the same time, also, he has the IDF chief of staff almost openly. I mean, it's being said in closed rooms, but it's being briefed to journalists constantly that his chief military commander thinks that these orders are wrong. So, the Israeli army spokesman even said just an hour ago that the chief of staff will continue saying his professional views to the government. So, to represent Israel right now is because of what's happening on the ground, which is so terrible, is very difficult. And to say what is the Israeli position, what is Israel's strategy, when so many senior and powerful ministers are openly saying that Israel's strategy is aim is to remain in Gaza, while Netanyahu is kind of quietly, occasionally in an interview saying, no, that's not our intention. There isn't really a line here to take in any clear way for a spokesperson of Israel.
All right, Anshel Pfeiffer, always good to hear your thoughts. Thank you.